do so many people have such food issues? I was talking to my team about this recently because if you read the Daily Mail, which I love, every other day they will have somebody who used to be a bikini model whose name we know from the 80s or 90s or what have you, who is now morbidly obese. And of course, they get this poor soul walking down the street just trying to get their groceries at age 70. But there's always a huge juxtaposition between like this bone thin, like too thin, to be honest, bikini model, and then this morbidly obese older version of them. And I always believe, Jillian, those two people are struggling with the same issue.
Flip sides of the same coin. You're absolutely right, actually. Look, you have the person that has the dad bod, right? The guy that had 2 kids and then the desk job, and all of a sudden you can't drink beers with your buddies on Saturday without it packing on slowly over the years. You have a midlife crisis, you take off 25 pounds. It's a great thing. Then you have the individual, or the mom that had 2 kids and has a job, and she's like, oh, you know what? I somehow have managed to put on 15 pounds over the past decade. Let me take that off. Fine. With that said, you now have the individual that is, let's say, 50 pounds overweight, 75, 100 plus. This is a very different beast. This is not a person that likes pizza. This is not a person that's lazy. This is not a person that's lifestyle has caught up to them. This is an individual that is using food because it is providing them with something so significant that at one time in their lives or another, I'm willing to bet you, it meant their psychological survival. We use it in so many ways, whether it's control, like you don't control me, I control my body, or a defense structure of an individual who may have been incested or molested. And it's like, if I desexualize myself, am I protecting myself? I'm just giving you
those things are related. A lot of people who wind up with eating disorders say that they were molested
deal with
or
it
sexually assaulted.
All the time. Or, there was a young boy I worked with whose mother was also morbidly obese, 18 young. And we took 100 pounds off of him. He goes back home to his environment and within the first week puts 7 pounds on because his mom sees him and immediately feels like he's going to outgrow her, emotionally withdraws from him. So what does the weight provide? An emotional connection with his mother. And I could go on and on and on. But the reality is that this is a very complex issue. It's not black and white. It's not healthy at any size. It's not about fat shaming. It's none of the above, but it is rooted firmly in mental health that plays out in your physical health.
You mentioned control. So I have a couple of friends, 2 of my dear, dear friends had, their daughters are still around, but they've aged up now, but had daughters at the age of like 14, 15, develop an eating disorder. And in both cases, it started with extreme veganism. And so I think there are signs on these things, right? When it comes to control, it's like, it's not about being a vegan. It's not about saving animals. It's about that extreme control, which is like red flag all over it.
It's a very difficult position to be in as a parent. And the tremendous irony of this is that my daughter struggles with food addiction, meaning not bulimia, not anorexia, but food obsessed, could eat and eat and eat to the point that, as her mother, I think to myself, okay, she is adopted. So there's that component of feeding this pit inside from the first 2 years of her life, which she can share when she's older, but were without question extraordinarily traumatic. And then you've got me as her mom. So you have to wonder if there's an element of rebellion in the teenage years. What I would tell any friend going through this, right? I'd be like, listen, role model wellness, be supportive in every way you can. Don't make an issue of their weight or their health ever at all, or they will interpret it as you don't love them. And keep the child active and be active with them. I did all of that with my daughter and none of it worked.
Of course.
And we finally got to the point where I was like, baby, she would go into town, get bags of candy. She's fit. She pulls it off. Yep. That's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the fact that this is so bad for her developing body. I get bags of Halloween candy and I was like, honey, listen to me. As your mother, I'm dying inside and I feel like I'm failing you and I need to do something. But on the same hand, I don't want you to think like, you don't love me. You're trying to control me. You want to change me. And I finally was like, what do you need from me? You're just going to have to tell me what you need me to do right now. Do you need me to leave you alone? Like, would you need me to help? And she actually finally was like, I want you to help me.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, But if I do, I swear to God, don't come back and tell me I didn't love you the way you were.
And don't tell your therapist.
She started laughing. So we've been going to the gym together. We're running sprints together. But as a parent, it's very muddy. From the outside, looking in, you can give tremendous advice. But from the inside, you can't see the forest through the trees, and you're not quite sure where to intervene or how to intervene, or if you're going to mess them up by intervening.
Yeah. We've been just honest with our kids. I mean, I'm slim. My husband's thin. I mean, he's muscular, but he's a trim guy. And our approach has just been to be honest. You don't want to be too heavy. That's not healthy. And you don't want to be too thin. That's not healthy either.
Right.
And we'll tell you if you're getting one way or the other.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll ask, we'll be like, absolutely not, you're good. Our kids are thin, they eat like we eat, so they're not really gonna, and they have those fast metabolism, so they don't have to worry about their snacks yet.
Lucky.
But
my
so
son's
far that's been okay. It's the daughters that you really have to worry about it in there. And men do get eating disorders, but usually it's the daughters. And I do already see, she's only 12, and I do already see this athletic, beautiful girl being like, why are my legs fat? I'm like, that's where we carry our fat, honey. Like, that's where look, mom's got it too. Like, it's just society starts planting this stuff.
Wow. That she's interpreting her legs as being fat.
That's where we are. And she's, of course, a thin girl, but that's America. Like, fat on one's body is assessed as, is that a negative? Can we have fat on our bodies?
This is why we shouldn't be looking at it from a literal perspective of, okay, you appear this way. This is something that belongs literally in a doctor's office. They will tell you, hey, your cholesterol's high, your blood pressure's high, your XYZ PDQ, the biomarkers are off. There's cause for concern. And this is when you have concern. And a pediatrician will tell you, they said to me, they're like, her blood pressure's high, she's 12. And I was like, okay, this is,
time to intervene.
They did, and that's when I was like, honey, because it has nothing to do with the way she looks.
Yeah.
You'd see her and be like, wow. And I'd be like, I know, she gets away with murder. You have no idea.
Oh. And plus, you're setting them up, that's the real concern is of course they're not, you're setting them up for a lifetime once they're.
No idea.
Right?
I cannot even tell you. All I do all day long is talk to some of the world's best doctors. And they will tell you if a child is not consuming vegetables between the ages of 13 and 17, their chances of breast cancer, a girl, obviously, child in this case, is 50% higher in their 50s.
Oh, God.
It has to do with microbiome and the role it plays with immunity. But I'm like, oh my God. Honey, please.
Right?
You're gonna blink your eyes.
For the love of God.
Yes. Yeah. It's crazy. When you know too much, it starts to get even scarier.
Well, that's same in my business, but it comes to sharks and lightning strikes and all sorts of stuff. And my kids are like, what? I mean, my 13-year-old went on a school camping trip recently. It was his entire grade, and they went to this lovely sort of camp in the woods where they had cabins and all that. And all the other mothers are like, have a great time, sweetheart, love you. And I was like, watch out for the molesters. Poor Yates was like, wow, Mom. Some people take CBD for better sleep or less stress and more calm in their lives. Some take it for pain relief, better energy, or better focus and concentration. Today, I want to tell you about CB Distillery. CB Distillery, and there are over 2 million satisfied customers. According to a poll of their customers, 90% reported they sleep better with CBD. 81% said CBD helps with stress, and 80% said CBD helps with aches and pains after physical activity. If you struggle to get a good night's sleep, and if you're dealing with too much stress and could just use a little calm in your life, if you suffer with pain and discomfort, especially after physical exercise, you could give CBD a try from cbdistillery.com. Use my 20% discount by visiting cbdistillery.com and enter my initials MK for your discount. No prescription is required. That's cbdistillery.com, promo code MK for 20% off, cbdistillery.com. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.